Hello, beautiful mama. Welcome to Navigating Motherhood with Confidence. I'm Dr. Sarah Hardy, naturopathic doctor, mother, and creator of vitalitynaturalhealth.ca. This program supports informed, intuitive mothering by providing reliable information on a variety of family health topics and featuring moms who are nourishing the connection with their inner wisdom and integrating it into real life every day. Today, I'm thankful to welcome Jessie Harrold of Nalumana Women's Wellness. Jessie is a mom of two, a birth doula, and a life coach on a mission to help you live a healthy, vibrant, and wildly adventurous life.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 3. And welcome, Jessie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Jessie, tell us about your favorite practice for nourishing the connection with your inner wisdom.
I think that it's probably currently, anyways, just taking a really nice walk in nature. I've had over the years many different practices that have allowed me to feel grounded, meditation and yoga. And I find I have a 6-month-old and a 2.5-year-old. And so there's this constant navigating of, what is possible within the time that I am allowed during the day. And so really the best thing that works for me right now is to get outside, put the baby in the carrier, and just go for a little walk. And, it kind of fulfills the dual purpose of, okay, I've got a kid, it's fine, I can look after him and meet his needs and nurse and that kind of thing along the way. But I feel so grounded just getting out and walking and clearing my head a little bit. I always have, some people have their best thoughts in the shower. I have my best thoughts in the woods. So that's really where I go and what I do to establish a practice of just centeredness and mindfulness and tapping into my intuition.
Awesome. And so it sounds like you sort of, through that transition into motherhood, you've been really able to sort of integrate those things that you learned along the way to really get down to, something that you can do to nourish your inner wisdom and bring in those great ideas while you're mothering at the same time.
Yeah, it's sort of necessary, and it's not to say that I don't miss the good old days of of being able to get to a yoga practice and have that quiet space and time for an hour. It definitely is challenging, but I accept that this is sort of what it looks like right now, and I think that's part of it too, is that surrender to, okay, this is how it looks. I'm doing the best that I can by getting out and wearing my baby and doing what it takes, and knowing that this is a season of my life and that I'll transition out of these crazy baby days and these crazy preschooler days, and that there will be that time again in my life for more contemplative practice or for walks alone in the woods. And so it's a combination, I think, of finding what works and also surrendering what I used to be.
Oh, that's such a huge part of that transition into motherhood, isn't it? Sort of getting used to, and like you say, surrendering that process of, this is who I was before becoming a mom. This is how I best nourished myself and connected with my inner wisdom before becoming a mom. Yeah. And it's not necessarily going to look exactly the same way when you're integrating it into being a mom.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so are there things that you do, Jessie, when you're out in the woods for a walk, whether you've got your 6-month-old with you and or having both kids with you, are there some things that you do to kind of along the way on that walk help yourself tune into you, even though you've got the kids there with you?
It depends what I feel like I need that day. I guess sometimes if I'm really kind of missing my meditation practice, which I used to have a thriving meditation practice, and now it's sort of fallen by the wayside a little bit. So if I'm feeling like I need some complete kind of blank mind space, then I will sort of do a little practice where I focus on a tree ahead of me and just sort of try to focus only on my breath and on this tree. And then as I pass the tree, I find another focal point, and kind of that allows me to really quiet my mind in a way that that I might have been able to do while doing a sitting meditation, for example, without a child attached to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I
that's
mean,
one
so
thing.
often we think of meditation as sitting on a meditation cushion for, a period of time, but
Yeah.
sometimes just being present and using our senses, like you're using using your sight and having that focused sort of awareness on the movement of your breath, that in and of itself is meditation.
Absolutely, yeah. And sometimes if I don't want to kind of have a totally meditative walk, I'll often set an intention before my walk starts. Sometimes it's, a more tangible sort of thing, like I want to think about X, Y, Z about my business right now, or I need to think about next week's meals. I don't know, whatever it
Yeah.
is. But sort of create a bit of a container for my thoughts, I guess.
Mm.
So that I use the time to be able to focus my thinking. So I use those walks also as kind of a way um, to gain focus in my life when when the rubber hits the road and you're at home and you've got all of these demands and everything is going on. It's really hard to get that kind of focus. And so, and I find that's a really important practice when I do get back into the crazy hectic life at home. That I tend to say be playing with my daughter, and then I realize that there's laundry that needs to go in the dryer, and there's something burning on the stove, and I'm doing 800 things at once, and my daughter gets really mad at me, and because she's like, "Mom, you were playing with me." And so I'm trying to adopt this mother focus. I focus on my daughter when I'm playing with her. I focus on the laundry when I'm doing it, and doing that kind of practice during my walks also helps. So this is my focused area of thought today, or this is my focused intention today.
Yeah. Yeah. So really, really that sort of presence of the moment. And I love how you say, having that container, sort of setting that intention for that process that you're going through on your walk. Even if your mind isn't thinking of that particular intention, sort of saying it out loud or breathing it out loud before you go on your walk, and being in that present moment and smelling the fresh air and being in the trees. Do you find that it's more likely that if your intention is around a question, that the answers come to you in a different way, or they feel a little bit different?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, they do. Just feels clearer, and it feels more intuitive, I guess, when I can sort of feel out the answer using sort of multiple modalities. So it's not just my brain turning the gears, but it's also, being in a beautifully calming space, moving my body, like all of those things I think helps to focus me. And it I think usually when I have the answer, say at the end of the walk, it feels more genuine, a little bit more authentic.
Mm, yeah, yeah. Mm, lovely. And so, do you have a process that you could share with us today that you could guide us through so that the moms that are tuning in could experience it with us?
Oh my goodness. Do you mean like a sort of an intention that you might set, or a
Yeah.
meditation, or
Or yeah, or even maybe maybe perhaps a process or a guided process of creating an intention that a mom could sort of set her day to, or set a nature walk to, or something like that.
right. Okay. I would say, I guess the first question, or maybe the only question, would be to ask yourself, what are you craving the most right now? And so it might be clarity on something. Maybe you've been wondering, I don't know, whether you should, you name it. You need some clarity on something, or maybe you are really craving time to yourself, and you really need that space to just sort of be and just be, quiet your mind. Whatever that is, I think that's always the first process is, what do you need most out of this walk, out of this meditation, or whatever it is that you are able to carve out that sliver of time to do. And then so creating an intention around that craving or that need, I think ultimately helps you to tie that to the end result where you hopefully feel that need is a little bit more met. Do you know what I mean? So, for me, for example, if I were craving some time and space to myself, going on a walk and thinking about 100,000 things that I have to do that day, I will have had time to myself, but it won't have felt like what I needed. It won't have felt like I was craving, And so I feel like, what are you craving most, and what, how best to meet that need. So, whether it's a nice walk in the woods, or whether it's a quiet moment to yourself, or maybe 10 minutes to journal or something. And so I feel like, because I think sometimes, we don't pinpoint that craving, that need, and we end up just kind of, ending up in this cycle of sort of not completely feeling fulfilled and not knowing exactly what we need, but they're not being able to meet those needs. Yeah. So what are you craving? What's the best mechanism to sort of fulfill that craving? What's realistic within your day or your week, right?
Yeah.
And trying to be really present as you're doing whatever it is that you feel you need to do, so that at the end of, even if it's only 5 minutes or 10 minutes, because that's often all we get, you feel a little bit more filled up.
Right.
That craving is a little bit more satiated.
Yeah. And so recognizing that craving and putting that craving into words for ourselves, because sometimes it comes as sort of a feeling. I know that for me, when I'm craving that time to myself, it often shows up as like a feeling of tightness and constriction, and and it's like, ooh, what is this? And it's I need some space. That's what I'm craving. And so to bring that into consciousness and give it some words. And I love how you say, like, what's the best way I can get there today, or get a little bit of there today? Because it might be that sort of small window of opportunity to take a tiny step in that direction of fulfilling that craving a little bit.
Yeah.
It might not be in completion. But just that little bit.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so important as mothers, is that we often do have to really sort of compact our needs into small pockets of the day. And so let's identify the craving. Let's figure out how to meet that, and let's have that laser focus, so that you don't end up spending your 5 minutes on the phone, or scrolling through Facebook, or, deciding that actually maybe, the dishes need to get washed and that 5 minutes is gone, right? And so being really, really clear, and then kind of giving yourself that nudge to focus in on meeting your own needs, even in that small amount of time.
Yeah. And reminding yourself, that some days it is going to be 5 minutes, and that's okay. That's okay from the perspective of, it's okay to give myself 5 minutes, and it's okay that it was a sliver of time to fulfill that craving.
Yeah. Make it the best damn 5 minutes you've ever had.
Yeah. So then if you only have 5 minutes in the day, is there a particular strategy or process that you use, Jess? Like, if it's one of those sort of crazy days where it's even just impossible to get out into the woods for your walk, what would 5 minutes look like, or what would be something that you might do in those 5 minutes?
It depends, again, on what I'm craving,
Yeah.
Right? So it really depends on the day, and that's where the intuition comes in, and that's the beauty of it, right? And so, like, sometimes I just, even though I'm not a huge bath person, lately I've been like, oh my God, I need to get in the bath, and I don't care if it only lasts 10 minutes. I need, a nice hot bath, or the process of making a cup of tea or coffee, and like, you don't even have to drink it during your 5 minutes. Like, just boiling the kettle, measuring out the tea leaves and being really present in that can make you feel really nurtured. So sometimes that's what I need, especially if I'm a little sleep deprived that day.
Yeah.
So I think it changes on a day-to-day basis, right? And it just depends. Sometimes the laundry really does need to get done, and that's okay too. Like sometimes just tackling the things that are causing you that feeling of anxiety or whatever is helpful too, and so whatever it is that you're most craving that day, I guess, and
Yeah.
for me that changed.
Yeah. So here's something. When you're exploring that question, maybe at the start of the day or whenever it happens to be, what am I craving today, and how can I maybe fulfill that craving? Is there something that you do that helps you tune into answers from your inner wisdom as opposed to answers from your head? So here's where I'm coming from for this. Sometimes my mind is so active that if I were to ask a question of myself, it would be my mind coming up with it, as opposed to really what my heart needs.
Yeah, for sure. Often the first clue to me that I need to do something is when my mind does come up with that list. It's like, okay, none of that is going to get done. So if I'm in that creating that list mode, I just put that list right away because I think it doesn't even take intuition to know that if you're all up in your head and you've got your 5 minutes and you answer that call for the 5 minutes with something that you have to do, then maybe that's in and of itself the sign that you've got to actually go do nothing.
Yeah, how we ask the question when we're exploring that craving and what it's what we need and what we want, as opposed to what we have to do or what we should do, which have a different kind of feeling to them.
Yeah. And I think if it's challenging to get to that space, what if you kind of pose the question, so if I had nothing better to do right now, if I had no commitments today, what would I be doing right now? And maybe that's a good barometer for what it is that you need.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Jess, I know that you are working away at growing a beautiful community for women, and I'm wondering if there is anything that you'd like to offer the listeners today.
Well, there's a few different things that I have working on right now. So I own a business called Nalumana Women's Wellness, and it fundamentally is about nurturing and supporting women to have empowering experiences. And so I blend together my doula work and helping women to have powerful birth and breastfeeding experiences, as well as my life coaching work, where I really help women during times of transition, primarily in their lives. So whether that's transition to motherhood, transition to a new career, transition to a new health status. And so I've been working away on a lot of sort of different programs and resources for women. And I have one actually coming out in January, which I'm really, really excited about. And it's sort of a different way to do birth planning. And so it's a really, really interesting workbook that I have that helps women to really tap into what they want most deeply for their births. And it moves past those kind of outcomes related things that we sort of generally put in our birth plans, and really gets down deeply into sort of what are your deepest desires and intentions for your birth. So it's a workbook that I have coming out, and I'm really, really excited and kind of really excited about generating some conversation about sort of outcomes focused birth and about birth planning in general. So I'm quite excited about that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so if there are some pregnant mamas listening right now that would like to know when that becomes available, or to find out more about it when it does come available, how do they get connected with you?
The best way to do that is to go to my site. It's www.nalumana, so it's NALUMANA.com. And you can sign up for my newsletter there. There's lots of different ways to sign up, so you can't miss it. And it'll be in my newsletter, sort of leading up to the launch of the workbook, and then a link to be able to purchase it. So pretty exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I know that folks that are signing up for your newsletter are getting a really cool coloring page too.
They are, yeah. So there's a case in point, trying to create some space in your day and some meditative practice. I love coloring, and so I actually had a woman create a custom coloring page for Nalumana, which is so fun. So yes, everybody gets a coloring page when they sign up for my newsletter. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I know as a mom that it can be hard to carve out this kind of time to share with others. So thank you so much for doing that with us.
Thank you for joining us today, beautiful mama. For additional resources to nourish the connection with your inner wisdom, visit vitalitynaturalhealth.ca and sign up for the Navigating Motherhood with Confidence free 21-day program. It guides you through a variety of practices and the ways you can integrate them into your life every day. With love, until next time.